let's start the show. Kids, this is your daily reminder to stay hydrated. Now, I've gone over my January hauls, but today we're going over my February hauls for February of 2019 as we enter March, and I spend way too much money on comics, video games, food that is popular in Austin for some reason, as well as just watching movies that I can review later. I like to just kind of let people know what I'm watching, reading, listening to, playing, as well as, and that's actually in a different video. But today's video is just going to be over what I managed to acquire during the month of February. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with single issues. As always, I say as always, and I've only done like 2 of these videos. Either way, let's go. So I managed to pick up about 3 issues of John Wick. With the John Wick 3 coming out, I wanted to keep doing reviews on it, and you can actually see those reviews posted recently. And yeah, so far it's been a pretty interesting ride. I just like seeing them go into John Wick's backstory a little bit more, but it's always hit and miss with me with adaptation-based comics, so we're going to see where this goes. I'm going to write it out and see if it at all ties into the movie, but I don't know. It can, once again, it can be really hit and miss. Then we have Captain Marvel number 2, and this is the Captain Marvel movie variant cover. So I've already done my reviews on these, and yeah, just number 3 coming up, but either way, this should be posted before I get my movie review out. We're gonna see. Can't make any commitments right now, but here we go. Then we get to Captain Marvel Braver. Let me make sure I've got, oh my gosh, I just realized that her fist like covers the wording. I think it's Braver and Mightier. Yep. Captain Marvel Braver and Mightier number 1. Okay, I'm not like a design expert, but my brother goes to a school for animation, illustration, design, and stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that makes me an expert. But I don't think having a character's fist over the lettering of the title of the comic is an especially helpful just design trait. Either way, I haven't read this one yet, but my review's coming out soon on it as we get that Captain Marvel movie. I'm just trying to stay well read. Now we come to Daredevil number 2 by Chip Zdarsky. I've already got number 1, and my review is posted for that as well. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with Daredevil for a little bit. I always like Daredevil comics, and yeah, it's I think Zdarsky's doing a really good job right now. I just got to see where he's going with this, especially in the wake of the Soul Run, which I actually really enjoyed too. And then we get to Heroes in Crisis number, oh thank goodness, free comic book day poster. I thought the page was falling off. But Heroes in Crisis number 6. Now this is 6 out of 9, so that means that we are 2/3 of the way through the series, which is very nice. Just because this series has been fun so far, and well, I say fun, but there's honestly just been a lot of death and sadness and mystery. So I really want to see where Tom King's going with this and how much of an impact it's going to make for the rest of the DC universe. My reviews for those are also posted. Now we come to, John Wick number 2. I was wondering where that went. Okay, so that means I've got, I think, 4 or 5 issues of John Wick. Now we come to the Superior Spider-Man number 2. Superior Spider-Man number 2. I don't even think I have number 1. But alright, so your boy's gonna be going through his comic collection and double checking what he did and didn't buy. Honestly, that's the worst part about subscribing to comics, or like putting things to the side, stashing things. It's just not keeping up with what I've got. Now we go to, there we go. Now we go to Wolverine the Long Night, number 2 out of 5. I've already posted my reviews for these ones, and yeah, so far, so good. I really like it, but it's also a comic adaptation of the podcast. Both were written by Benjamin Percy, who's great. His Green Arrow run was wonderful, and I love the podcast. So just having, make sure Marcio Takara's art on this has made it just really lovely in terms of illustration. So yeah, stay along for the ride, y'all. I enjoy it. Please pick it up if you get a chance, or just listen to the podcast, which is free. Oh yeah, that's right. Guardians of the Galaxy. This is Donny Cates' Guardians of the Galaxy, coming right off of his Thanos and Cosmic Ghost Rider run. So Cosmic Ghost Rider, aka Frank Castle, is actually part of the Guardians of the Galaxy lineup in this one. So I need to read it, get through it, just catch up, because I thought I bought both of them this month. But, oh well. I'll find that later as well. Casualty. Either way, now we have Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man number 3. I've already got my reviews for number 1 and 2, so I need to make this one yeah, I need to make this review happen, but I've really enjoyed it so far. Tom Taylor usually brings his A game with stuff like Injustice, and I think he wrote All New Wolverine as well. So yeah, I'm really happy to see him write a Spidey book, and yeah, it's towards the end of the Dan Slott run of Spider-Man, it just became kind of, I just got kind of tired and started skipping issues and volumes, started like just reading summaries. So it's been really refreshing to have Tom Taylor and Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer's writing The Amazing Spider-Man, so those two have been killing it so far, so it's been wonderful. Now we get to, actually this is a Marvel Knights #5 variant cover. Once again, I still need to catch up on the series. I think it's a 6-issue limited run, so I need to make reviews happen for that, or just read it and give an overall review. Now we get to the Batman Who Laughs #3. I believe this is a 6-issue miniseries, so I'm going to stick with it. I want to see where Scott Snyder's going with this, but at the same time, I hate to use the term like I trade or superhero fatigue or whatever, but I don't really like when you have too many issues at the same time for the same character. 2 or 3 books are great for, you know, I'm not going to say great, but doable for big name heroes like Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. But especially for characters like Batman, when you have DC Black Labels coming out, as well as the Detective Comics and Batman mainline comics, it just kind of gets really tiring with more books, especially since the Grim Knight, this kind of Punisher stylized Batman, is getting his own solo issue or miniseries himself, so it's just getting a little bit ludicrous and hard to keep up with. Now we've got Venom, Web of Venom, Venom, either way, it's a Venom amalgamated with the word nom. It's by Donny Cates as well. So yeah, his Venom run has also been wonderful. Man, he's just a fantastic author, and he's from Texas, which you know, is another point in my book. So yeah, he's just killed like dang near everything he's written. Check out God Country by him if you get a chance. It's actually written in Texas. It's about, I mean, the setting is in Texas. It's about a dude who finds a giant sword, which makes me already love the story. Texas Giant Swords, wonderful book. But this one is about, I guess, Venom being around, or the Venom symbiote being around during the Vietnam era. So I need to check that one out. Like I said, I'm very behind on reading. Oh my goodness, why did I buy so many comics? I have made a terrible mistake, but this is my lifestyle and I'm sticking to it. Let's keep going. Now I've got Naomi #2. I am curious about what Michael Bendis wants to do with this character, just because it's part of the Wonder Comics DC line, which has included the Wonder Twins revival series, as well as Naomi and the Young Justice revival series. So I'm trying to see where all this is tying together or how it's going. I don't know. DC's got a lot of kind of imprints right now with Young Animal and Black Label and Wonder Comics now, so it's interesting to see what all they're doing and how it ties together with the grand DC universe, especially with the scale of Scott Snyder's Justice League run. So we're going to see where that all goes. Now we've got Batman Creature of the Night, book #3. I've actually only got books 1 and 3, and actually, this is by Kurt Busiek, who, let me make sure, yep, Kurt Busiek, who also wrote Superman Secret Identity. So this is kind of his alternate take on that, with this Batman being set in a very realistic, grounded world, but still kind of coming to fruition, even despite the fact that there are, I guess, no superheroes in this world. And I need to go ahead and do a review on that, but I'm actually waiting for the trade to come out. All 4 issues collected before I write my review and give my thoughts on that. So then we have Marvel Knights #6. I'm just going to blow past that because, as I've said and reiterated, still trying to make that happen. Heroes in Crisis #5. Took me a while to pick these up and review them, but hey, there's that. Oh, now we come to my collected editions and volumes, and we get to The Best We Could Do. This one is actually about, I believe, a Vietnamese immigrant and her family coming over to America and just their hardships and struggles. Now, there's actually a lot of comics like this that I have. I love biographical books. This reminds me of American Born Chinese by Gene Young or Gene Long. I need to look that back up. But either way, this one actually has a special place in my heart already because I took my mom to, I think, Book People down in, Book People down in Austin for Valentine's Day. We just hung out around the city and we picked up some books, and this is, I think, what she got me for Valentine's Day, so that was very sweet of her. And yeah, I just love biographical comics. I love my mama, so this one's already got a special place and is one of those comics in my collection that I'm hoping to keep for a while, just because of the kind of emotional connection there. So let's keep it going with Mr. Miracle. So this is the Mr. Miracle run by Tom King. It's a limited series. Tom King loves to work with Mitch Gerads on these kind of 12-issue miniseries. He did this recently, yes, with the Omega Men, another set of obscure DC heroes, as well as with Sheriff of Babylon, which is kind of this Middle Eastern murder mystery, which is very interesting as well. But I need to tear into this one. Everything I've seen on it and read about it has made it just very intriguing, but Mr. Miracle is also one of those characters from Jack Kirby's New Gods and Fourth World that's just always kind of intrigued me, because he's supposed to be this godlike character, but his ability is just to escape from anything. And Batman even uses that ability prior to the DC Metal run to break into this kind of this kind of just archaic mythical lock in order to contact, I believe, the Monitor, or the Over-Monitor. Either way, DC cosmic stuff. Can't wait to tear into that one. Oh yeah, and then we get into Will Eisner's comics and sequential art. I try not to just read comics. I try to also kind of explore the meta-narrative of comics, right? Stuff like, oh gosh, Scott McCloud, I'm mixing names up either way, and Will Eisner, just books about comics and how they're constructed. Just to maybe write my own comic one day or storyboard something, but also just understanding how that process of comics and like what makes a comic good or bad, aside from just the story and art, has always interested me. And especially with Will Eisner and his contributions to the comic medium, I just love being able to explore that and learn more. And then we have Powers of a Girl, published for Marvel Comics, and just the art style of this was beautiful, and I was very curious because it features a lot of new age female Marvel characters. Like, well, one, you've got the Dora Milaje from the World of Black Panther, not just the movie, but the I guess mythos of the Black Panther character hero. You've got Black Widow, Captain Marvel. Oh yes, you've got Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie. You've got America Chavez, who her solo run wasn't fantastic, but Kieran Gillen's run with her and her creation in the Young Avengers arc that he created was just phenomenal. And then Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, who took her name from Captain Marvel's previous alter ego. So, all just fascinating stuff. I mean, just a lot of reading going on in my world. Huh. Okay, well, Casualties 2 and 3. Oh my gosh. Just realized these two dropped as well. I have an Anthem comic. I don't really like media tie-in comics, especially because Anthem got kind of subpar reviews, but honestly, BioWare's just not giving me a lot of faith in their video games recently, and this is coming from someone who loved the Mass Effect trilogy. Loved 2 out of 3 games in the Mass Effect trilogy. Actually, like the first half of the third one was good. Either way, and then you have Andromeda, and then you have Anthem. Just EA owning that. I'm going on a rant here. Maybe that's a whole different video. But either way, I need to read and publish this as a review because I think it's going to be a long-winded rant. Oh boy. Then we have another Marvel Knights issue, Marvel Knights number 5. Oh my gosh, I have 2 of these. Yeah, that's one of those things I do, is just collect variant covers as well. And honestly, sometimes I forget to pull them from my subscription folder at Dragon's Lair, which is the comic shop I go to in Austin. Now we get to, that's about 10 or 15 pounds of comic right there. The Berserk Deluxe Edition. Now I've gone over Berserk before, just in one of my previous collection videos, as this kind of quintessential anti-hero and dark fantasy manga, and just comic in general, originally published by Dark Horse in their manga line, or their manga, I guess, localization line for US and English-speaking audiences. And yeah, I just wanted to get the deluxe edition because it was, I mean, just look at the size of this thing, and being able to just review all these arcs and these comics again, I mean, these storylines again, especially because it's one of the longest running manga I've ever read. I haven't even caught up with it in about a year, and it's still coming out. So yeah, this is just wonderful to have in my collection. And I was thinking about getting it on Amazon. Then I realized I'm trying to this year commit more to buying locally, just because, I mean, I can get anything I want on Amazon dang near. But yeah, just being able to give back to the local economy or whatever, or mainly just support the industry through publishing stuff like that from my local comic book shops, just it gives me a warm fuzzy feeling inside. Yeah, plus just I keep forgetting that I pre-order stuff on Amazon, then it shows up on my door and I can't return it, and I gotta make some life changes, y'all. Oh my gosh, I forgot to mention these ones. So I had mentioned earlier that Donny Cates' Cosmic Ghost Rider character was in the Guardians of the Galaxy lineup, and he released a trade of his limited run on Cosmic Ghost Rider, just fleshing out this character a little bit more. For those who don't know, Cosmic Ghost Rider, because that symbol looks familiar, is Frank Castle. Now, because he's Frank Castle, you would think that as Punisher, he would be very stern and serious. But for those who have read or explored the character, he's actually kind of maniacal, crazy, really just jovial. And that's because with the powers of the Ghost Rider and the power of Cosmos and everything that Frank Castle has experienced just over millennia of existing, he's gone crazy. So this makes for a very interesting character dynamic as he goes back in time to try and kill baby Thanos. Yeah. It's a bit of a wild ride. I immensely enjoyed it, just this character in general, and can't wait to see how he goes about in the Guardians of the Galaxy series by Donny Cates as well. Now we have Amazing Spider-Man Trade Volume 1 by Nick Spencer and Ryan Ottley. Nick Spencer is just a fantastic writer. Actually, I knew him first from his Image Comics titles, mainly, oh gosh, I think Morning Glories and Bedlam. But yeah, he finally got to write Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, he's written for Marvel just a lot, especially the Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which I also loved. But yeah, his Spider-Man is just fantastic. It's very refreshing, especially to see Spider-Man back together with Mary Jane. Also, Ryan Ottley has pretty much been practicing drawing Spider-Man for years on end in his Invincible run, which was written by Robert Kirkman. So yeah, it's refreshing. It's awesome to see him get to finally draw this character in a publication. So I just enjoy the writer, I enjoy the artist. A trade review coming soon, y'all. But let's just go ahead and say I loved it. Pick it up. Good stuff. Whew. Now we have Amazing Spider-Man and Human Torch. This is, of course, interestingly enough, I didn't even realize this by Dan Slott. So the Amazing Spider-Man and Human Torch relationship is actually one of the low-key, longest-standing, like, just friendships in the Marvel Universe. And this goes back to the fact that Spider-Man is, in essence, a member of the Fantastic Four, an on-and-off member of the Fantastic Four, or like that kind of awkward cousin you have for the Fantastic Four. Back when he was first publicized in Amazing Fantasy, the Fantastic Four actually encountered him and thought he was a villain, a vigilante at first, and Spider-Man has time and time again gone back to the Fantastic Four to help him research his powers, or even just to develop his scientific skills, or work alongside Mr. Fantastic on projects. It's really interesting, especially because a lot of people fail to realize that Spider-Man, that's Peter Parker, is a scientist, so his collaboration and work with the Fantastic Four is just one of the more nuanced comic character relationships that I always enjoy to see. And when Spider-Man actually has his secret identity reset by Mephisto, he does personally reveal his secret identity to the Fantastic Four so that they can know that. So just that sense of familial tie is really beautiful, and this kind of brother-like relationship between the Human Torch and Spider-Man is always just fun to read, so I had to pick this trade up. Oh my gosh. So I forgot that February is when I got my tax return, so your boy put in a little bit of work, and we're just gonna go ahead and blow through these. The Lesson of the Master, I just like these small little novella things because they're easy to read, and I just haven't read a lot of these kind of, I guess, older stories that are, oh, Henry James, there we go. These older stories that sound kind of interesting, so I need to read this, especially because it sounds like the story relates to this book, The Sculptor, by Scott McCloud, if I got the name right. So yeah, just this idea of like what it takes to be an artist and what someone has to sacrifice to be an artist or to give themselves fully to their life's works or their passion. Then we have The Killing Joke, a quintessential Batman run. I mean, just Batman story. I have read it. It's very controversial for the time it came out. Aiden, actually, Aiden, if you're still in the comment section, yeah, Aiden had actually turned me back onto this because I had totally forgotten that I don't have a copy of this. So it was good to pick it up, and it's actually a British copy. It's apparently £2 and 25, whatever you call them over there. That being said, let's keep going. Constantine Hellblazer, Dangerous Habits. This is actually the storyline written by Garth Ennis, that's right, where Constantine gets cancer. And I had another copy of it, but I think I loaned it to a friend, and I haven't seen it since. totally not bitter about that. Let's keep going. Now we have Batman Venom. Fun fact, y'all, prior to Bane getting Venom, Batman actually used it. He couldn't save a little girl from drowning, so he looked for other ways to make himself stronger, and he took the super steroid Venom in order to become this hulking mass that he couldn't even fit in the Batman suit, he got so big. So that was a very cool run as well. It's actually one of my favorite Batman comics, so be looking forward to that as well. Will Eisner, Last Day in Vietnam. Will Eisner is one of the founders, really, of the formal graphic novel medium. So just anything he puts out, had put out, I'm trying to read and become more acquainted with, just to, stay in the know and just really grow my understanding of the medium. The Fifth Beatle. Actually, I picked up another copy of this. I have 2 copies, and this is just a biographical story about Brian Epstein, the quote-unquote Fifth Beatle, who helped the Beatles become the global sensation that they were. And I actually grabbed this because it was on sale for like $1 at my half-price books, but mainly because I wanted to be able to just donate this to my local library. Yeah, guys, I cannot express enough. I love comics, and especially like talking to y'all and hearing just how some of you guys don't have access to comics the way I do. I love being able to buy comics and not even like resell them, but just give them to local libraries so kids or even guys my age or older can explore the medium. Heck, some people don't want to read about Superman. They want to read about the Beatles, or they want to read about Andre the Giant. And I just love being able to find these comics cheap, or even just realize I don't even need them anymore and give them to a library, so hopefully some kid or just somebody can read these comics and explore these new worlds and stories. Whew. So Queen and Country by Greg Rucka. I've heard about this comic bits and pieces, haven't read it, but Greg Rucka has just written some fantastic Wonder Woman, and he's writing, oh gosh, I forgot the comic. It's some Image comic about witches. I totally forgot about it. But yes, Greg Rucka's a fantastic writer, has written Batman, Wonder Woman, multiple characters, so I definitely wanted to read up on that as well. Now we get into, oh yeah, Batman Creature of the Night 1, actually, book 1. Actually, I think I picked this up in, yeah, no, I did pick this up this month. I picked up 1 and 3. It was just, those 2 were split up apparently. Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't have a copy of it. Oh man, I actually haven't read Crisis on Infinite Earths. I've only, I guess, watched videos on it or read just enough about it to gather the story, but this is one of those first few just immense multiversal events, so very quintessential reading that I haven't read. So there's a required or a recommended reading video coming out on that soon, y'all. So stay posted. Whew, Batman Nightfall, and this is part 1. Now the reason why Batman Nightfall, actually, so like I said, Batman Venom comes before Nightfall, and that's critical to know because in Batman Nightfall, we're introduced to the character Bane, who escapes from his prison, is super jacked off the poison Venom, the super steroid Venom, and comes to Gotham to pretty much dethrone Batman as the, I guess, just this ruler of the Gotham criminal world. But this is the arc where, yes, he breaks Batman's back, and that is what inspired The Dark Knight Rises by Christopher Nolan. So, required reading there as well, y'all. And then I have part 2. This is where Nightfall gets weird because we're introduced to this alternative Batman, Azrael, who takes over for Batman Bruce Wayne for a bit while he's just out of commission. It's very weird, very sad. And then finally, out of the comics I collected for this month is this comic Alpha by Jens Harder. This is actually, I think, a French graphic novel, but it's just about this kind of, just tracing back the evolution. It's this kind of meta comic, I guess, just kind of exploring not necessarily the ideas of what we're used to, but more so just the evolutionary path of creation as well as different creatures. And okay, fine, I guess I just need to read it to really be able to explain it better, but I got it because just the artwork that Jens Harder does really intrigues me, and he wrote a graphic novel, oh gosh, what is it, Leviathan, a bit back that I was able to find in a library and read, and the art as well as just the textless narrative of this incredible Moby Dick-like whale always kind of, I don't know, just was fantastic, was just amazing, so I wanted to see what else this guy put out, and it took me a while to find it, but I finally managed to get a copy. Oh my gosh, I think I'm almost done. Okay, so I've been, as y'all can see, I've got this transistor vinyl on my wall, and that's by the musician Darren Korb. And I say this because Supergiant Games, who created Bastion and Transistor, as well as Pyre and Hades, are some of my, they are like, if not my favorite, they are one of my favorite video game studios. They just produce fantastic RPGs, and Bastion was the first game they came out with, and I love it to death. Probably one of my favorite games of all time, or it's definitely in my top 10, if not top 5. That being said, I finally managed to acquire the Bastion vinyl. I think it's a dual LP, but Darren Korb is just a fantastic artist, and the Bastion vinyl is no exception. It's really what exposed me to this these games, as well as just the intricate worlds they create, not just through the actual gameplay as well as the story, but also just the music. He changes the style up for each game based on the just world that they're building, as well as the narrative tones. And yeah, expect to see this on my wall soon alongside the Transistor vinyl. And honestly, that's really it, y'all, for all my, I guess, physical hauls for the month. Although I did have 2 digital hauls since I've been playing Tetris Effect. I was playing Tetris Effect as well. I got that back in January, but I got 2 new games this month, digital of course, and that was Sundered, as well as, let's see, Sundered and what was it? Oh yeah, Dead Cells. Both of them were just incredible. Dead Cells is kind of this Souls-like, if you like Dark Souls or anything, the Souls-like game where you're this headless zombie guy and you just go through it. It's ultra hard, super brutal. So yeah, naturally I liked it. And then you have Sundered, which is this Lovecraftian world where you're this girl Esh, you're wandering across the desert, then you go to this underground city, and it just gets weird and crazy from there. I mean, you fight gigantic bosses, and I recommend both of these games. But yeah, in Sundered, the skill tree is just massive. I mean, I think hundreds of points you can allocate to. I'm almost done with that. I already beat Dead Cells, so I'm going through my second playthrough of it, or I guess just my just completionist run. So that's a pretty good one too. I mean, they're both fantastic. Love them. Put a lot of hours in the month of February and still playing them. But that is all for today, folks. Those are all of my acquisitions for the month, my entire haul for the month of February. So thanks for sticking with it, and this has been another episode of King's Comics. Now, as always, if you have any comments, feedback, suggestions, maybe you want me to go a little bit more in depth in a rant or a rave or just what I liked about it or disliked, then please drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you just want to chat. Love talking to you guys. And if you liked today's video, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that like button. Let me know. If you really, really like today's video, hit the notification or subscribe button so you can see when your boy's dropping posts. And if you really, really like this video, go ahead and share it out. You know, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, friends, what have you. I do not mind people knowing about this channel. But guys, that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in and sticking with it, and I will be seeing y'all again soon.